Hey, John here. Here's lick of the day number 134. It's an old school pentatonic shred run. As usual, I'm going to play it once slowly and then break it down. And during the breakdown, I'm going to share some practice advice that you can apply to this one and pretty much anything else you're practicing. So we start here on the 5th fret of the low E string. Alright, so this one uses the A blues scale and the A minor pentatonic. We start with the blues scale section, and it's basically this one fingering. So we have 5, 8, 10 on the low E string, 6, 7, 10 on the A string. So and one thing that can help here is that my pinky will be on 10 for both strings. So if you can keep that sort of in check, you're gonna have an easier time seeing the shape. So I pick the start of every string here. So downstroke, hammer, hammer, and I use my M finger. You don't need to use that. You can pick everything like that if you want, because you have 3 notes on each string, so you have a lot of time to move around, but I just do this out of habit. So I've notated it that way as well. And by the way, if you want the tabs, you have the tabs via the link in the description below. So again, down, hammer, hammer, M, hammer, hammer. And it can be a good idea to just practice that initially. So just sit around for a while. Now, after you're comfortable with that shape, we're gonna use exactly the same shape starting from the D string here. Since the blues scale has 6 notes, 1, flat 3, 4, flat 5, 5, flat 7, and we play 6 notes here, we cover the entire octave of the scale. So we need to go to this note, and again, this might be a thing you want to practice initially. Just getting used to that shift. And then again, same fingering. So very easy to remember. Then we do that once more. Slightly trickier here because we have an extra fret since we need to compensate for the B string. So you have to go up that far. So again, practice that separately. And then put them together. Whoops. And then finally we have the last octave here. So at first we can work on that. And the way that I picked this was actually, I'm going from down, hammer, hammer, so down, M, A finger, and then the C finger, which is the pinky. Because I just basically have them placed like this. So just let each finger go once it's time. So, and then I just went up with a downstroke. Then I think I did another downstroke, so I could have gone down M as well. So just experiment and see what works the best for you. But once you get to this point, since we're basically run out of strings here, instead of moving up to the next string that's not there, we're gonna go up to this note via slide. Because that will set us up for the tapping thing afterwards. So that's another thing you should practice separately. So I try to get the timing right. Kind of tricky with the slides here sometimes. But after we get to this point, go up. Now we're going to start using the tapping finger here. So I actually use this once I hit this string, I start moving my hand towards where I need to tap, which will be the 20th fret on the high E string. So we're gonna go up to 12 here and go 12, 15, 17, and then tap on 20. So again, something you could practice. And now we're just going to go down this pentatonic scale. So no flat 5 in this one. So we're just going to go on the E string, jump down to the G string, 19, 17, 14, 12, and then A string, 19, 17, 15, 12, slide to the flat 7, and then you're done. And to practice the tapping run here, just work on going between the E and G string first, and try to make sure that your tap note and the first finger, the pinky in this case, should go down at the same time to set your left hand up for success. All right, so I'm really focusing on getting these two down at the same time. And then you do the same thing between the G and the A string. And then the slide. And that's basically how I would practice this. And of course, move it around the fretboard. It's quite a span here, but if you do this, you know that you're going to tap a 20, so you can go all the way up to C sharp here if you wanted to. And also you could go down as far as F. It's quite stretchy down here though, so be a bit careful if you do that. However, if you make sure not to keep your fingers down and actually release the fingers as you do the hammer-ons, you should be fine, because you don't need to have the fingers down to do a hammer-on, right? So, and just stretching your hand like this and not having anything, external pulling at it, as when you do a pull-off, when you need to have your fingers down and you start pulling, it's easier to get hurt that way. But I think with hammer-ons, it's more like having the fingers close to where they need to be, so you can hammer down on that fret when it's time. Another very helpful thing when you work on any type of legato is to really focus on the timing. And yes, you should focus on your timing, whatever you practice, but especially legato. And a good way to do this is to go through different subdivisions. So this is written out as 16-note triplets. So that's 6 notes per beat, but try this with 8th notes first, do it with regular triplets, do it with 16th notes. You can even do groups of 5 if you want. So any kind of rhythmic variation you can come up with will really help your overall legato technique a lot. So if you haven't experimented with that stuff before, just give that a try. And don't get intimidated by 5 notes per beat or whatever. It's just 5 equal notes per beat. And there's different ways you can count that, but a surefire way to do it is just to sit there really slowly without a metronome, just making sure your foot goes down on 1 and you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So apply that to this thing here. I'm not going to play the entire thing, but that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. And even doing it at that tempo will help you a lot. So it's all about feeling the rhythmic grouping. And even though now it's going to be very slow, but the more you do this, the more you can start getting the quarter note faster, and eventually you can start doing this to a metronome as well. But just counting, try to count it evenly as possible, and making sure that your foot is down on 1 the whole time will improve your timing a lot. All right, that's it for this one. If you have any questions, just post them below. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed it, and see you in the next one.